I've been researching this concept for years, trying to find other composers that have even at least touched on this idea. There have been many throughout history. This has been around for a long time, even back with Scriabin, who was a Russian composer in the 1800s. He wrote this whole piece for orchestra, chorus, and color organ, where when you pressed the keys on the color organ, instead of sound coming out, bright lights of color flew out on a screen behind the singers and the orchestra, which was, you can just imagine, quite amazing at that time. There's also John Cage, of course, who is one of our contemporaries from the 20th century, who wrote this piece called Aria, where he notated different colors on a graph for the singer to change her style as she went into different color schemes. Color is a very powerful way to express yourself. And I have not only a visual arts background, I also have a conservatory training in classical music. And I'm using color, painting it on the page, to imbue the page with my thoughts of music, but representing them in a very powerful visual statement that becomes part of the performance itself. The yellows tend to be higher in pitch, reds are more medium range pitch, and blues and purples are on the lower side of pitch. So that's just talking about pitch. Now when you talk about rhythm, and you can see the strokes here, that I'm sort of like building up a rhythmic idea across the page here with the blues, because there's not only rhythm in sound, there's also rhythm in visual art and the way the space and the colors are organized across the page. And the other thing that's important about color is that it is relative. You have many, many more colors than you have if you think of the 12 chromatic steps in a scale. So you need to think in ranges. You can't take one note for one color and line it up. I don't think of it that way. I think of it in ranges where you have a lot more nuances between each step of each color. During a performance, I insist on projecting each page of the score. So you'll have live musicians up there, or maybe it's electronic sound, or however it's being realized sound-wise. You are also going to have the visual component as part of the performance. So sometimes it would be projections, sometimes I make three-dimensional scores that become sculptures on the stage, or I might have stage sets that the actors and performers and musicians move through on a set. I might shoot it in a video format or a digital presentation format where the sound is realized electronically and you also have the score moving along at the same time. And I have felt all along that music was three-dimensional. I also have a background in doing sculpture. So I'm very much involved with three dimensions. And I feel like three dimensions relate to not only the colors, where color can affect space, but it also gives you a good idea of how sound waves and color occupy space, because they're both made up with waves. One light waves, the other sound waves.